Let's bring in CBS News political contributor Ashley Etienne. Ashley served as communications director for Vice President Harris. So Ashley, before we get into Vice President Harris's thinking and what you think about why she came to this decision, I want to ask you about messaging because Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi was on CBS Mornings this morning, and she said Democrats need to be better about messaging. When we hear voters saying that they think that a Republican ticket could be better for their wallets, do you think this is something that Governor Walz could help with?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the point was made that he introduced this notion of weird, and it sort of caught fire within the Democratic Party. But he's also, and he's, you know, I worked with him in the House too when I worked for Speaker Pelosi. He's also very adept at taking very complex issues and breaking them down in ways that the average person understands how they affect their lives, and driving a message about how Democrats are going to help solve those challenges and address those challenges. So I think he's really adept at messaging. But the other thing that I think is really important is that he's absolutely fearless. He's going to be able to compliment Kamala Harris. You know, she's not one for having a big television, news, media presence, and he actually will help fill that gap for her. You could see him on television scrapping it out with Republicans and advancing the balls in terms of messaging. So I think that's going to be value add for her and for the Democratic Party going into the election.
How crucial is the bottom of the ticket decision in maybe those independent swing voters haven't made their minds up yet? How important is today's decision for them?
Well, you know, there's been all this talk that the vice presidential pick doesn't matter much. I mean, tell that to J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. I mean, he's been a drag on their ticket. So it does actually matter. I think that what Walz brings to the table is not just his breadth of experience from being a military officer to a former teacher to a chairman on Capitol Hill to a governor, but also his ability to go into these battleground states, the suburban areas, the rural areas. That's the 1 to 2% that's going to make the difference in this election. And he speaks their language. He knows their issues. He's dealt with many of them at any stage of his professional and political career. So I think that's the advantage he's going to bring to the table. And I will also add this, too. I'm hearing from the campaign that, you know, his children were conceived via IVF. And so he's also going to be leaning into the issue of reproductive rights, which we know is incredibly important. 70% of women right now think that that's the top issue in this election. So to have him lean in and bolster what the vice president's already been doing on this issue is going to be incredibly transformative.
Ashley, what is your advice to the campaign to counter some of these extreme left arguments we are already seeing emerge from the Trump-Vance camp?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got to run your race. I mean, we're in the middle of the Olympics, and I was a track runner, and you know, and there's a saying that you've got to run your race, and so they've got to stay very focused on running their race and understanding who's going to matter in this election. CBS just recently had a poll that showed that Kamala Harris is outperforming among that coalition that Biden built in 2020 to win. In fact, she's doing better with low propensity voters, those that don't vote very frequently, and men. She's not bleeding support among men. So she's in an incredibly solid position. So some of this criticism, they're going to have to let just roll right off of them because they've got an actual growth strategy, whereas Donald Trump does not. And Tim Walz is going to be, I think, very critical and crucial to moving some of those disaffected Republicans and those independent voters, creating a permission structure for them to support Kamala Harris.
Ashley Etienne, thank you.
Thank you.